Greetings and salutations, Focus Up family. Welcome to the September 6th, 2025 installment of the Focus Up Show. We thank you for tuning in with us live every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on YouTube, on various other platforms, or catching up with us on replay. And we ask that you click that like, that subscribe, that bell, and share to support and maintain your weekly Focus Up fix. I am Mr. Nice Guy, nice as in the word Saint spelled backwards. And today, my co-hosts are Brother Afro Agnostics, star of Afro Agnostics, those various videos on YouTube and TikTok, brother doing his thing. And we got infamous El Pooh, star of Spin That Back. And we're going to have a Spin That Back today. What's going on today for Spin That Back, infamous El Pooh?
Yeah, we're going to have a Spin That Back extra show today. We're going to talk about one of my favorite peoples musically, George Clinton, and, you know, his groups, Funkadelic and Parliament.
That's what's up. So what's going on with you, brother Afro Agnostic? First, let me say, Mr. Floyd X still on vacation. First Lady J still taking care of business. Brother Student X still taking care of business. Brother Walker's supposed to be on. So hopefully, you know, he will come on. I know he's doing some things. He's taking care of some things, but hopefully he'll be on. But, you know, shout out to the people that are not here. But that having been said, what's going on with you, brother Afro Agnostics?
Oh, man, the same old two-step. I have a situation where, and it feels good to have like revenge on a former employer. They always taking advantage of us and telling us don't do this, and you know, think they're overpaying you. It feels good to like when they do you wrong, and you can get back and have this job. I'm out of here.
Hey, I'm telling you, sometimes I believe in justice. I believe in justice. I don't believe in revenge, but I definitely believe in justice. And I definitely believe in what goes around, come around, the stint that, you know, celebrate it when it works out. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I know you don't like karma too much, but I just say it doesn't have to be cosmic. It doesn't have to be cosmic karma. Really? It's just sort of like de facto karma. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
What's happening there, Big Cuz? Shout out, Big Cuz. You are not blocked today. Never blocked. But what's going on with you, El Pooh?
Oh man, just chilling, man. Just, you know, trying to keep it together. Blessed and happy to be here once again.
That's what's up. So since the mice are away, or should I say the cats are away, yeah, this show might go a little bit different today. So, you know, all those apologists, MAGA apologists and Trump lovers and all that stuff, you know, we'll see how that plays out on this show today. But first things first, we're going to do an RIP to brother Joseph McNeil. Now, Joseph McNeil was one of the 4 North Carolina college students who participated in a lunch counter sit-in protest in 1960. He died. He was 83. Now, you know, he was part of they call it the Greensboro Four, because these brothers organized several sort of like sit-ins, and they basically used that same premise. They did a Happy Days episode where basically the Fonz and a black dude, you know, did like a, you know, one of those counter sit-ins and stuff like that. So, you know, rest in peace to a person who really did some real work that has some real impact. A lot of people are apathetic and think this stuff doesn't happen, but as brother Afro Agnostic tells you, you know, things start with a spark. And, you know, you can have a full fire from it. You know, we're living in times that are way far from where they've been. We still got a long ways to go, but it's disrespect to our ancestors to act like we ain't made a whole bunch of progress here. So,
and a lot of times the people who set that spark off, like in the case of this dude, they're not organizers. And I believe that the first 4, the Greensboro Four, none of them got involved in any civil rights organizations. Beyond that, he wasn't a part of SNCC or any of that, but his actions or their actions were kind of spontaneous, and they sparked, like you said, they started a movement, a trend that was later galvanized by the one Ella Baker, because she saw the masses of the youth doing this and understood the need to organize this activity, and then she formed from that SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So, but you know, you get it. You know, a lot of folks in the streets. You know, they're the first ones to take action to participate in the riots. You know, it's spontaneous impulsiveness. So, you know, they're definitely activists. Activists are not necessarily organizers, but you know, you need both.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what you mean by grassroots. Real grassroots is something that happens naturally. So that's what that was. These people was hungry. They was like, look, we're gonna sit here at this counter, we're gonna get served. If not, we're not gonna leave. So they stood their grounds. And like you said, they wasn't really no organizers or actives active activists after that, but they did what they had to do at that time. And same thing with the original Watts riots. The dude that was that got caught up in that, he wasn't trying to spark anything. He just was caught up right there on 116th and Avalon. He was the first person that got the whole thing going, and then the neighborhood got behind it. So it is what it is. But rest in peace to that brother, though.
Yep.
Now he later went on to serve in the United States Air Force, serving in Vietnam, and later earned the rank of Major General. So, he was a 2-star Major General from the Air Force Reserves, but I don't see anything about his activism beyond that, but the activism that he did do was very impactful. So
I think Student X would celebrate that part and not this part. In the Army, I think Student X would like that.
I don't know. That brother's from the nation, so hey, Student X, we might talk a little ish with you guys not here. We might put some words in your mouth, so
Hey, they wrote beautiful words about the commander in chief when he was
talking about the nation. Oh
yeah. Beautiful words.
Hey, we're gonna have a show. I'm just letting you
President.
know. We're gonna have one of those shows, a very controversial show about discussing those things. But when we talk about the who killed Malcolm X, it's gonna be something. It's gonna be something. I'm just saying it.
He criticized the minister, brother.
So that having been said, let's move on to what we got up next after that, Infamous.
Man, hold on, bro. I thought you was handling that right there.
Okay.
But anyway, I think we got Cardi B though. Cardi B wins her trial.
All right, now Cardi B. Now let me show you something, a little something. Where is this picture at? Okay, here we go. So this is the sister that Cardi B, got into it with. Now you can see the thickness ratio from Cardi B, who's a relatively thick sister herself. But I'm just saying that, the sister on the left was talking like, she was like scared, scared Cardi B. Now I can understand if you're worried that she's like a gangster or something like that, and you think that there's gonna be some pushback, but just 101 mano a mano, that was no types of intimidation right there. And at the end of the day, she won her trial. She did not get 8 million. She did not get 1 million. Walk. You know what I'm saying? I told you that this was a money grab, and this was a crappy money grab. She didn't get nothing. She didn't get a penny. And and Cardi B, to her credit, she said, "Look, don't go after her. Don't go harassing her. What's done is done." You know what I'm saying? But I will push back on what was reported last week on Focus Up. The secretary said that she was breaking it up. None of them substantiated what the security guard was saying. So I'm just saying that it was a lot of her speaking. Go ahead.
One of the argument on the prosecutor side was that it's in their financial interest to to defend Cardi.
It was, but they didn't. It's still not in. It's still in your legal interest to not perjure yourself when you on the stage. So I understand how interests work. I mean, that's how it is with arbitrations. They put all big money companies put in these arbitration clauses in your contracts because if you go to an arbitrator, they may see you once as a plaintiff or whatever, one time, but they see them as a defendant hundreds of times. So who do you think that they're going to basically, help out, to make sure that they keep getting that business? So yes, you just, there's something to be said about that. Who's feeding you, where the money is.
But I remember what you said last week, like the lawyer and the security, the plaintiff must have some type of mental thing going on. Because why would you ask for and I did a little cursory research, and it's estimated that Cardi spent like $1 million on this defense, and it's been going on since 2018. If the lady, the security guard, would have just asked for $50,000, I think she would have got it.
That's what they call nuisance value. Nuisance value is like, look, it's not a function of whether who's right or wrong. It's gonna take you this much money to defend yourself. So the question is, we always say, you're gonna pay that to me or are you gonna pay that to your attorney? You know what I'm saying? And some people are like, well, I'm not gonna pay you a dime. I'm gonna pay whatever to my attorney. You know, and that's kind of stupid. If you can make something go away for a whole lot cheaper, that's always the best thing to do.
Yeah.
But like I said, if she had a video of Cardi B scratching her, that would have went over in a demand letter. It would have never even made it to trial.
Well, the bottom line is, the bottom line is, congratulations to Cardi B for getting off. But didn't she just assault somebody else for asking her a question?
Oh, dude,
or try to?
Dude, big facts, big facts. She
Recently?
went through it.
Yes.
When he was celebrating her, she was coming out of, I believe she was coming out of the trial having won. You know what I'm saying? So people were giving her props. Or if it wasn't that time, it was shortly around that time. Somebody asked her about Stephon Diggs and Offset, and she literally threw a pin at this person. I mean, you understand what assault is. Cardi B, you're on trial for scratching somebody. You can't be going around throwing pins at people. If the pin hits,
was it a soft throw, or was it like she threw that mic?
It doesn't matter. No, she threw it with anger, with vigor. She threw it like she threw that water bottle or that microphone into the crowd.
Yeah, that's that mic. That's what I'm saying. Like she threw that mic when she was on stage.
And she threw it with that same hand too. That same hand is guilty.
The scratching hand.
And this is actually on camera, so you know what? She probably did kind of settle that one kind of quietly.
I mean,
look, you know what? That was part of her initial fame. You know that she was quick to fight, right? She never.
Oh, she did that with Nicki Minaj. She did with Nicki Minaj. You know, she went over there and all that. So, but you know what? As an adult, you know, we just got to understand, especially this. When you got deep pockets, go check out which Eddie Murphy stand-up where he was talking about that. Basically, you know, he was talking about how he was in a big bar fight and everybody sued him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so it's just like, so it was a club fight. So my point is that when you're a celebrity, you can't just do regular people stuff anymore. Yeah. People will go after your pockets and they may get some. So, you know, just think about that. Just think about that. So what do we got up next? Let me see. See that I'm going to be doing that. Let me pull it up for you. We got, so Kawhi Leonard. Okay, brother Kawhi Leonard. Now, if you don't have a little backdrop, the Kawhi Leonard situation kind of resonates differently out here in Los Angeles because about 5 years ago, this cat held us hostage. You know, a little bit over 5 years ago, he held us hostage because, you know, he's talking about coming in and joining the Lakers. We had just gotten LeBron. We had just traded for AD, and you know he was potentially going to be the third. He just came off a championship with the Toronto Raptors. You know what I'm saying? But you know his uncle was his manager, and he was trying to get all these shady perks and stuff out of the Lakers. He was trying to get ownership of the Lakers, things that literally you can't do. So, and it turns out that he did this with various other teams when he was trying to basically get Kawhi to go somewhere to sign that year. And when the league found out about this, they investigated it. That's when the league said, you know what? In order to be a management in the NBA, you got to have a college degree. And everybody that wasn't a part of that investigation thought, oh, that's about Rich Paul and LeBron. And LeBron and them was talking about they hating, they so mad. It wasn't about them. It was about Uncle Dennis, who just didn't have any concept of what was rational and legal to do in the NBA, whereas Rich Paul did. So anyway, they ended up not going forward with that college thing, but you know, there was high alert about that. Now it turns out owner of the Clippers, Ballmer, he put in $50 million into this company that paid $28 million to Kawhi for an endorsement, and he never had to endorse anything. Never had to show up, never had to do anything. He just basically got $28 million. So check this out. Your owner puts $50 million into this thing. Your guy gets $28 million out of it for nothing. It's hella suspicious looking. And, you know, this dude that did some digging, he's like, you know, the people that worked at this company, they're like, oh, yeah, this was to circumvent the salary cap and to make sure that he got a little extra payola, which, you know, is a hellacious crime in the NBA. This was a situation with Joe Smith back with Minnesota. They lost 5 first-round picks and got, you know, charged like millions and millions and millions of dollars. Now, I think they ultimately got like 2 of those picks back. And now because of the CBA, just for this very thing, they sort of like dug in. You can only lose 1 first-round pick. The fine for a first event is somewhere like under $5 million. That's really no biggie, but they can void your contract. So they can void Kawhi's contract. I don't know how big or bad that could be. I mean, it'd be bad if the Clippers just lost Kawhi Leonard. As far as how much money is left for another team to pay him, that could be bad too. Of course, he could just basically go to some team and create a super team. So anyway, there's a whole lot of fallout from this. I don't know what's going to play out because I feel like the NBA has a need to basically make themselves look good. If they can somehow shut this, brush this under the rug and say that nothing happened, I think they'll be motivated to do that, basically along the reasons that we're talking about before, people that have motivation to do stuff. But anybody got something to say about this brother Kawhi Leonard situation?
Yeah, don't hate the player, hate the game.
I like that. I like
Kawhi, listen, bro, get your money. But I just advise you, don't be sitting up here spending it up on stupid stuff. Don't be having a whole lot of gold looking like Slick Rick walking around, stuff like that. Because it looks like your career might not be lasting too long in the NBA, brother. That's what I'm saying.
Hey, to his defense, that brother still drives like the original car that he drove before he got an NBA contract.
Yeah,
so he's driving around in a bucket. He's a different guy. You know what I'm saying? He's just a different dude. You know what I'm saying?
Keep that same energy, bro. I got you.
We was about to say something.
I like to pin the tail on the hunky. I think it's the NBA as an industry. This is what we do. I think that's what they do. I mean, camps exist for a reason, right? It's to bring some type of. It's for the fans. You know what I'm saying? We want things to be competitive. You're trying to stack a team and do all of that to, so that you can win. And it's just a conflict of interest. What about the fans? We want to see competition. We don't want to see, you basically, that's his salary. That was his salary. He didn't do anything. That's just a way to.
How do you explain it, man? It's $28 million for nothing. I understand that they were a con company, and that now Ballmer said that they conned him. He didn't know, and they are. It turns out there's fraudulent stuff with them, and they're defunct and all this other stuff, and people are going to jail. But it's a lot of smoke.
I'm like, walk, man. Give him 5 years off the rip. Give the owner, Ballmer, give him 5 years.
Well, yeah, but you can't be blaming Kawhi. He was just shutting up and dribbling and trying to get paid.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He didn't know anything, man.
He still has the right to remain quiet.
Yeah, exactly. He knows what the rules are. Hey, he got his money, so he ain't gonna have to give it back. I'm pretty sure. So hey, whatever. Good for him. And you know what? He's basically been a bust at the Clips for anyways. And we won the championship that first year, so it's all good. So next up, we're gonna talk about the Epstein survivors releasing their own list. These sisters basically said, "You guys are BSing, talking all this other stuff. You know what? Check this out. We don't need y'all. We know who was involved. We're gonna release our own list." So power to them sisters for doing that. And they even got. I apologize if I'm mixing up the sequence of her name, but I want to say Marjorie Green Taylor or Marjorie Taylor Green, whichever her name is. She came out, with guns blasting, talking about how she's going to support them and how Trump is saying this is a Democratic hoax and it's not a hoax, and that that they're pushing back and the White House is doing all this BS behind it. But we all know what this really is. You know what I'm saying? Hold on 1 second. Where is the picture? There we go. This is what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? Knock it off, Trump. You know what I'm saying? Just own it. Just own it, my God. So yeah. So, anyways,
that wig is nasty, man. That hair is just that's a nasty look, man. But
so big cuz he said there will be no contract voiding. We'll see. Hey, I understand it. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see how it plays out. I'm not rooting for that. I definitely love to see the Clippers, get a slap on the wrist for it. Definitely love that, but we'll see.
5
what are you about
years,
to say? Back to 5 years. What were you saying about the Epstein survivors?
No, I'm saying it's dope that a lot of conservatives talk about taking self-responsibility. That's what these victims are doing. They're taking self-responsibility. They're organizing. they're even campaigning. They're pushing the Epstein file transparency policy or act they're behind that to so they're not just they're putting together this list themselves and also pushing the government so you can walk into bubblegum. I really think it's a good thing. And I think that Trump threatening his own, his own comrades.
Base.
I mean, innocent people don't threaten people for, for like
Truth.
voting on transparency. I think it's just a sign of his guilt.
Exactly. Guilty. Go ahead.
What's even more amazing is Trump said this. I like the uneducated people. Mm-hmm. He said he doesn't want people woke. And then he talks to people like, to his base, like they're stupid, obviously, because they ran on this. And now all of a sudden they're telling you all this other stuff. So he talked to his people like they're stupid. And he likes that. He says, I want you to be stupid so I can tell you anything.
He's telling to you straight. He's not, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing about Trump. I respect the fact that he said he's going to do this crazy stuff. He's doing this crazy stuff, and there's no repercussions for it. You know what I'm saying? And people are mad about it. You know what I'm saying?
It go all the way back to 2016, when the man said, I can stand out in front of Fifth Avenue and kill somebody and get away with it, basically. Whatever he said. I'm paraphrasing what he said. But if that sounded bizarre, this is what he really believes. Yeah. And this is what he's doing. He can do anything, and people will go for it.
He literally
his base will go for it. There's a lot of pushback from, people like us and black people by large. They get through this, at least they they feel he's corrupt and feel he's racist, no doubt.
And somehow you got some black people that really feel that this man is actually looking out for them. You
3D check.
4D checks. 5D checks. And he's going to lower your prescription prices by 1,400%. If you believe that. Anyway, let's
check it out. Now, it baffles both of us, right? When I was on the Newton podcast before, I was just thrown off, but I think a lot of it has to do with him being the strong man. And a lot of those supporters have like a favoritism for
macho guy.
Macho guy, and also what do you call it? Not an aristocracy, but
that's the patriarchy.
Authoritarianism, fascism, whatever.
Yeah,
they have a tendency towards it.
You know what? I don't think it's even that deep. I think it's really as simple as a playground bully in elementary school. Nobody messes with the bully. The bully says whatever the hell he wants to say because everybody's afraid of him. Period.
And you know what? He really doesn't have the political power that he had before because he's already done his 2 terms. I mean, he can help you as far as a promoting type guy after a fashion, but he's basically burning his bridges with MAGA. I mean, really, MTG has got she's more true to the MAGA vision when you're talking about no wars in Israel, not paying money for Israel, releasing the Epstein files. One thing that the MAGA people that were really heavy in talking about, even what was that thing, QAnon? They're basically against pedophilia. So that's sort of like their big super bad guy that they're trying to unearth. And this whole resistance to releasing the Epstein stuff sounds like a cover-up. I mean, it doesn't sound like a cover-up. It is a cover-up. So I mean, that's just what it is. So I don't know that how much power, political power he has. This is now the time to pivot. If you're on the GOP side to something else, but we'll see how it plays out.
What's more important, the fact that he's a pedophile or the fact that he's a bigot doing their bidding?
You know what? And you're right. And to me, that's the whole reason behind Black MAGA or the Hoteps. The Hoteps are literally going, you know what? The reason why we hate the Democrats the most is because of their friendliness with the LGBTQ community. You know what I'm saying? They hate that more than the white man who's been directly oppressing you. When you look at what the man looks like, how the man talks, how he walks, you talk about a duck, it's Trump. You know what I'm saying? The imperial white dude that's basically saying, okay, DEI, taking away all of the stuff that's impacting Black people. You know what I'm saying? America, make America great again. What great again is he talking about? I'm saying all of these things that are basically, virtual signaling and dog whistles. I mean, he's doing just regular whistles right about now. And for some reason, that doesn't have the strength, you know what I'm saying, of ire as it is as just having sensitivity to the LGBTQ community. You don't have to believe in it. You don't have to say that this is wrong or right. It's one thing to think that, like, hey, they're people, they're human beings, they're civil, they have rights, they should have rights. That's a completely different discussion. And for some reason, the Hoteps, they're just like, nope, they're just trying to make y'all gay. You know what I'm saying?
The Trump, go ahead.
Oh, I do agree with one thing about making America great again. We should make America great again, because America was great when it was basically on the East Coast and the West Coast wasn't even part of America. We need to go back to that.
That's a very
Corn. What's going on with you, Mark Cram Carm the Six? That's what's up. So yeah, you know.
Damn, that's a good point. I really like that. Like, go back before Western expansion. Go back geographically, scale back, give back the land. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
That was a bomb right there.
On like social media and stuff, the Black MAGA or the Black Trump supporters are like magnified larger than what they really are, out of disproportionality of what they are in reality, because they're not that big. And I think, you know, at most it became 13%, which was kind of high for Black people. But I think since in the last couple of months, that has probably dwindled, maybe 10%, 9% amongst Black people in general.
We'll see.
It was only 8% amongst Black women. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so Black women have got it the worst from Trump. So, you know, that's a fact. You know, now the jobs report, we speaking about Trump.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. The jobs report just came out. It was crappy. Yeah. Who he gonna fire now?
Exactly.
Who he gonna fire now?
Well, his eyes are still set on Jerome Powell. He's blaming Jerome Powell because for some reason, if we had a great jobs report and had the interest rate slashed by about 3 points, people can buy houses, even though they don't have a job. But I don't know.
Yeah. So I think he's done it, you know, he's becoming more and more even apparent to them. It's kind of like when folks started the Mississippi Freedom Party, and, you know, they could get Black people easily to organize, because you can look at the Democratic Party, their symbol was a rooster with white supremacy. It was like you didn't even have to convince Black people, you know what I'm saying, that they needed to start their own party. It was just, you know, right there. So he's becoming more and more, he's like that. It's obvious to us, but even among the Black Trump supporters, they're starting to turn around, I think.
Hopefully. I'm just be happy when it all goes away. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
Well, that's a different story. We can talk about that. The whole political trajectory of the United States is going to take 2 to 4 more terms to change that trajectory, if at all.
I mean, it's going to take a lot just to undo the McCarthyism that he brought back. I remember growing up reading about McCarthyism and seeing the videos. I never thought I would see that actually play out in the United States again. And I mean, he absolutely brought it back. And it was funny because, you know, he showed you what he was the first time. You know what I'm saying? Some people felt like, oh, you know, he might be better for the economy, but that mother effer crazy. And he definitely ain't the person to help us deal with, like, you know, COVID and all this other stuff.
Interesting. What really brought him into existence, though, people that what brought him into existence?
Obama.
Yeah.
He said it. Your hate
Yeah.
for me basically was the soil which out, you know, the Trump grew. So, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
so
let's talk about Ding Dong Ditch.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ding Dong Ditch. Okay, so check this out. Let me bring up, where is this article? Crap. I don't have the article. But what happened was these young kids, they went and rung on somebody's doorbell. You know, Ding Dong Ditch, if you don't know, basically you go up to somebody's door, ring their doorbell, and run away. And basically they open up the door to nothing, and you're just laughing. That's just super fun to you. Well, these two kids went and did that. You know, one of them was 11-year-old, and the owner smoked him. He got about 20 feet away from his door, and the owner shot him. That kid died a pretty tough death, knowing that he died because of the stupid thing he did. That is not a free pass. The crime, the punishment does not fit the crime. You know what I'm saying? It was not okay to kill this kid.
This DoorDash, is it even a crime?
Hell yes, it's a crime. I'm sure it's a crime. You know what I'm saying? To basically to just come up on somebody's door, ring the doorbell, and run. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it's a crime. You know, it's probably very minor, but you know, I'd be willing to bet. That having been said, it's definitely a crime of morality, and you know, it's definitely a crime of potentially getting your ass beat. But you know, as far as you know, getting shot up, my point is this: this is a teachable moment. That person threw away their life. They're gonna go to jail, and they should go to jail. But young people need to learn from this. Because if I had the article, oh, you know what? I think this is the article right here. Oh no, sorry. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. So man charged the article. The reason why I want to talk about the article because it brought up other instances. So this dude Gonzalo Leon Jr., 42, was charged with murder for the death of 11-year-old Julian Guzman. And I got his picture. We don't put up the killers up there, but I do got a picture of the kid in the thing. But the bottom line is he's an 11-year-old kid and he died. And you know, this thing has been the cause of several other people. In May, an 18-year-old high school senior in Virginia was shot and killed while filming a ding-dong ditch to post on TikTok. You know, so that would happen. In 2020, 3 16-year-olds were killed when a California man rammed his car into their vehicle in retaliation for Ding Dong Ditch prank. So basically, they played Ding Dong Ditch, got in the car, tried to escape. He got in his car and maybe ran him off the road or whatever and killed him. Killed 3 kids. But my point is that, look, you know, we need to teach our kids. Leave these people alone. Don't do this stupid stuff. There's other things to entertain yourself with. Don't step on other people's property. Don't climb on people's roofs. Don't do things with a high possibility of getting shot. What you got to say about that?
Man, hold on. You can't have no fun, man. That's part of growing up. That's part of being a man and being masculine. You got to take a risk. You got to do things now. I think once upon a time, this was a harmless suburban prank. I mean, most of the time, you know, the demographic as far as who's doing it is little kids. Like, why would you? I mean, don't get me wrong. Come to the door well protected, but if no one is there or you see some kids running, I mean, you know, if no one is there, some kids playing around. Old people don't really do this. You know what I'm saying? Old people ain't got time for this, you know? So I don't see, you know, kids do mischievous things. I think this is very harmless. It's
not harmless. People die behind it.
No, it's what that makes it. They're treating it like because. Well, I wonder too if there's a racial pattern to this because I know some instances where Black people were actually knocking on doors in need of help and assistance and were killed by white people in, you know, areas where Black people don't regularly live. But obviously it's not harmless, but the actual ding dong and the bell is a harmless act. And you come to the door, it's a prank.
It's not a harmless act when you come into the door, especially, I'm saying, you making people get up and go for nothing to go check. And it's like,
well, you got to get up and go. I mean, what's the big, come on, man.
I mean, wait a minute. You got to think about this. Was this the first time that it happened? Because you got to think about it. This dude, how far down the street was this little kid? Because when you do this, you're going to just hit the doorbell and run immediately.
Should.
Or was he just standing there waiting for him or something? Because
in the movies, they be hiding in the bushes. But go ahead, El Pooh.
Well, I'm saying I live in LA. You know,
yeah,
I'm glad he ran. I'm glad they ran because out here, you know, they ring your doorbell. You gotta look out before you come out because they might be trying to rob your ass just to get you. They might lure you out with ringing the bell. So I'm just saying. So
20 feet. They got 20 feet. That's a little bit more than a car's length. You know, away from the door. So.
Yeah, 20 feet.
He might have been there waiting, huh? Like I think more information is gonna come out. He was waiting, man.
Hey, Afro agnostics. Yeah. If you know that that's the dope house on the corner, would you sit there and go ding dong ditch that door?
Hell no.
You got to know what's the dope house, man.
Well, I'm just my point is that there's look. I'm just saying you may not know that this is the shoot a little mother effer house, but just don't go knocking on these. Don't play these games. Look, you say it's whatever. I'm just saying that there's other things to do. Ride your bike. You know what I'm saying? Play video games. Don't go trespassing. Don't climb on people's roofs because you can do damage to a person's roof climbing up on their roof. When we were kids, that's what a lot of my fellow kids did. They went roof hopping. That was a fun thing to do. And I'm just saying that you do that, you can damage somebody's roof. You can fall and hurt yourself. And if they don't tell you to get off your roof and they see you up there and they don't do nothing about it, they can get legal liability for it.
Well, y'all went roof
you
hopping.
grow up like, I mean, we had
where did you grow up? I mean, goddamn, how close was your house?
In Detroit. When I remember my dad, he was saying, man, you too good. You don't do anything. When I was really little, he gave me a brick, sent me down the street to break a window of a house. You know, it was an abandoned house, but still, you know, that's an illegal act, you know, but that's something we did. And I was taught, you know, you can't have fun being good all the time. And I think that's actually facts. I think we have to create more opportunities and situations, especially boys, because the way boys are socialized, so that they can do risky things without being killed, maybe just being injured.
God. Hey, risky, you want to do something risky, go hunting, go hiking, go whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know.
I agree, because possibility you can be killed by
you bring on somebody's doorbell. I mean, they might be like infirmed and they have to do a whole bunch of work to get up and stuff like that. And they get up and now you're not there. They could literally fall and trip just going over there. You know, you could have a final destination moment just because you happen to go to the door this time. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, don't go on other people's property without like good purposes. If you want to clown and play out in the street, that's one thing. But I'm just saying that you got to draw the line. Tell them kids, don't do that, because you never know whose door you're going to be knocking on or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
as a teacher, I don't endorse it. I agree. I don't endorse it.
Goodness, brother.
I mean, we played that growing up, but we actually knew everybody's house that we was actually ditching, rinking and ditching. So
true.
If you're doing somebody like that, that's different. You know, I'm like, that's like me saying, I know El Poo, I'm about to go get El Poo. But if I know that your mama's gonna like, boy, I'm gonna wear your little ass out if you come ring my doorbell again, then that's a completely different situation. I remember my brother had this female that used to always call the time, but she would hang up when anybody other than my brother picked up the phone. So my mom used to get really upset about that. We used to call it the mad clicker, because you just hear click, click, you know what I'm saying? And that was it. But, you know, my mom was like, you know, whoever your little girl is that's calling, whatever. Yeah, my mom acts real nice, but she was pretty tough back in the day. So I'm just saying.
Now, let me ask you just a few permissible things, because you talked about walking on the roof and stuff. Is it okay for boys and girls to call people and then blow a whistle in their ear?
Hell no.
That's not okay. I think that's more safe, though. Would you prefer that than ring the doorbell?
For none of that stuff. I remember hey, shout out to Brick Walls. You know what I'm saying? I remember he had a friend playfully stick like a string like in his ear. And, you know, he told him like, look, I'm about to beat your mother effing ass. And it's just like, you got to understand this. What some people think is a game, other people don't. So buyer beware. If you do these type of things, just understand what door that you knocking on. I'm just saying that if you, people like Walker's like, look, I'm okay with an ass whooping, fight is fight. If that's what you're okay, then it's like whatever. But I'm just saying that some of these prices are higher than just an ass whooping, as in this case with this young brother. And it was brown on brown. And I don't mean to say brown on brown, but it was basically a Latino man that shot a Latino kid. It was in the Latino community. And I'm just saying that, just lay off on people's doors. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to give this subject too much because we got some juicy stuff to talk about. But let's go ahead and go to the commercials when we come back to some of them. Sorry about catching you off guard, El Poo. So we don't have.
We did. Okay, we got it though. We got it.
That's La Brea Trucking for your cross-country needs. You need to go east-west, north-south, and all points in between. La Brea Trucking. Just run that commercial back, get the contact information, and do that business. That's a solid brother. Salute. That's gobealive.org. Go get you some of that black honey. And if you want to get it in person, go to the Petty Vice in Venice or to the Afro City Marketplace. Too bad she didn't let us know. She was just at the Jazz Festival, dishing it out. So, we could have promoted it, but shout out Sister Nitra. That's what's up. Football season is back. And you can go check it out, the Score Bar and Lounge in Sacktown. Just go check out that information and find out what it is. But a black business, solid brother, great atmosphere. Get you some wings, get you some drink, and have you some party and watch you some games. Football, football, football. And speaking of football, I just want to just show you this little one thing. Eagles guy, you can't be doing that, man. First game of the season, bro. Just can't be doing that, man. Can't be doing that, man. That's all I got to say.
I just got that. Yeah. What's her name again? I forgot.
Hot tour. Hot tour.
Yeah.
So anyway, but the Eagles still won. Yeah. You can't do that. It's literally probably the most disrespectful thing a man can do to another man. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of them. But anyways, so we done for commercials. That's probably about enough. Look, at the end of the day, we're gonna promote this. Spin that back after this show. Spin that back. We're gonna be covering George Clinton, Parliament, Funkadelic. As it all relates to hip hop. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great topic. Wish I could join that one. That's a great topic.
Oh man, that's what's up. So then, Sex Talk will walk Thursday at 9 p.m. And if you don't see it live, just click on there and find one of the old ones. That's probably what you're gonna have to do anyways, Brother Walk. That's what's up. Because he's talking about Go Raiders. Wait a second, let me bring this back. He said, kids will be kids. Nice guy, you are talking as an adult, not a kid. Yes, I'm talking about as a parent, what we need to have our kids do. What we need to have our kids do. It's dangerous stuff out there. I'm just saying that there's somebody whose kid did not come back because they did this stupid activity. So I'm just saying that, just don't do it. Just don't do it. You know what I'm saying?
I just feel like you taking what's the dude, the
There's
Russian?
other things you can do. Why are you justifying Ding Dong Ditch? There's so much better things that kids can do for playing. This is a terrible game. Don't do this game. That's all I'm saying. And I'm just saying that, yes, in an extreme situation, it could be death. But, in a far less extreme situation, it could be an ass whooping. Because I'm going to tell you right now, some kids come knock on my door and run away, and I see those kids go back over there. I'm gonna go talk to their parents, and if their parents,
that's what you should do, not shoot them.
Check this out. Right. Let me finish. I'm gonna talk to their parents, and depending on how their parents take what I'm saying, we might have a situation. You know what I'm saying? So my point is that if their parents are all flippant like whatever, I'm just letting you know this can escalate.
Mr. Nice Guy, don't shoot the parents either. Let's go on to the next topic, bro.
All I'm saying is that when I'm talking to you, put some respect on it because it can go to a dangerous place.
I know.
But you're right, Upwood. I shouldn't be getting too much in it. Let me stop stitching on myself.
Keep your holster and your cowboy.
So
they go play these tapes back at your trial.
Hey, Brick Walls used to tell me all the time, it's like, yo, man, you gotta dial back. You can't just let everybody know. But anyway, still, so that having been said, let's talk about Druski. Druski put together one of the most hilarious skits, you know what I'm saying, that I've seen in a long time. You know what I'm saying? And people have done this very well. You know what I'm saying? It come to mind, Eddie Murphy, on SNL. Silly Negroes and I want to say Dave Chappelle did one too. You know what I'm saying? But this dude, he looked white. They didn't look white to me. This dude really looked like a white dude. You know what I'm saying? So he was laying it on, and white people are complaining because white fragility. They want to be victims so bad. They're like, this is whiteface. They're like, if a black person did this, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, I want to remind you. There's a white person that did this, and pretty much black people thought this was absolutely hilarious. And you got to distinguish this from real blackface. Blackface was about saying that it was white people demonstrating how black people were, how their concept of black people were, and dictating how black people were. This was a representation of all black people. You know what I'm saying? So, if you got on the camera, you were supposed to be acting conforming to this type of thing. So this is one thing. Druski, he's showing you one type of white person, right? Robert Downey Jr., he was playing a white person, showing you one type of black person. And the context of it was absolutely hilarious. So I'm just saying that you got to distinguish Whiteface. I don't think Whiteface is the real thing, but you got to distinguish it, Blackface, and this other stuff. This, in my opinion, is other. What you about to say, Apple agnostic?
Apple and oranges. Man, I took very thorough, good notes on this, and for some reason they all disappeared. But just coming from the top, it's interesting, this white backlash coming from people who are so against cancel culture, quick to try to get somebody canceled when they feel, they're being attacked. And like you said, there's no comparison. Blackface was just, I guess, one aspect of the minstrel industry. Like, this was an entire entertainment industry, the only American homegrown entertainment industry. Everything else was exported. So between the late 1700s and early 1900s, if you were an artist, if you were a singer, you couldn't make it without blackface. If you were a theater, if you didn't, 70% of your shows, not blackface, were not minstrel shows. I mean, minstrel shows. You couldn't survive. Minstrel is the most popular, the highest revenue producing theater in the whole United States. You can't compare that to one individual putting on a whiteface. This is an industry. People had lives and producers made money. This was Hollywood, pretty much, pre-Hollywood, Hollywood. So I don't know why white people go in there and making that comparison. But shout out to that makeup artist. Man.
Exactly. I was gonna say the same thing. I mean, look at this picture here. Man. Look at him. Man looks like a real white person. I was looking at that Ice Cube Black and White or White Black, whatever it was called, that series he did have. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked at some of that back in the early. I think it came out like 2005, 2000, so early or mid 2000s or something like that. It was only a few shows, a few episodes, like 6 of them. But it was like a white family and a black family. They moved into this house, and the black family dressed up as white people, and white people, and vice versa. But their makeup wasn't nothing as good as this right here. That man's makeup right there.
He took it to another level, because those were the other things were like skits. This was like a real life. It's almost a social experiment, and with a comedic twist. And what he was really imitating in a lot of ways is Trump core base, Southern in the red states, uneducated, poor, working class, white people.
Not only red state, rednecks.
Yeah. I think that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, because that super patriotism is complementary to racism. They go hand in hand, and he kind of made that, and it's kind of gave a mirror to white people. So they kind of, I think that when it hurts, you can, they feel it. You can see it. You know what I'm saying?
And he got the same overalls that dude on the Cracker Barrel logo has on too. So.
And even though he's portraying a white person and probably not the best of white light, he's portraying a white person that still looks down on black people. You know what I'm saying? So even that low white person is still above black people in this depiction, which is completely never the case in any blackface minstrel, any type of situation. Those black people know they're placed at the very bottom of that totem pole. So it's a completely different situation. But
he played that. It was, I kind of saw it being built up. He did one where he was, the Crimson Tide. He was like Alabama. No, he was black. He didn't even dress up, but you can tell it was like a prelude to this. He kind of built his thing off of that, because that was funny. Man, Druski's he's good, man.
And I love that you said a social experiment. I mean, this was definitely Boratian. It's very Borat, you know what I'm saying, where he's basically acting an extreme crazy character around other people who are basically co-signing some of the stuff until he crosses a point and they're like, well, yeah, we hate black people after a fact. We don't hate them that much, you know what I'm saying? But it's still putting them out, you know what I'm saying? It's putting them on blast. So, salute to that.
And I invite any white people come in the hood You know what I'm saying? And play blackface. It's cool. If you
It
good,
won't work.
we won't know. It'll work, you know, but white people
That's
didn't
what I'm
even know.
saying. You have to conduct yourself a certain way to pass in the hood and survive. You can't come in there, you know what I'm saying? You can't come in the hood flavor. You know what I'm saying? So he can do that. They were like totally embracing that guy. They were having fun with that dude. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's why you can be mad at you want, but all of them white people around him, they had a ball. You know what I'm saying? At least
but don't get it wrong. It's a lot of white people that actually, you know, hang in the hood and that's a part of the hood and everything. I'm talking about that's actually hood. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. But we just talking
about. I only trust them so far, though. Personally,
a lot. They as Dave Chappelle said, they're the most dangerous people. But they have to grow up around us to kind of imitate us effectively. We don't have to grow up around them because we see them virtually all the time, so we can imitate them very good, better than they.
Even if, sir, you got a good point because even if we grow up around in our own neighborhood, when we go to school, I mean, at least for us, you know, when we were going to school, we had white teachers most of the times, though.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that having been said, we talked about let's talk about this guy. This is the health secretary, RFK Jr. This dude sounds like he's going to die. Every single time I hear him, I'm like, he just sounds like this is going to be his last absolutely dumb sentence. You know what I'm saying? This dude is an absolute crackpot. And, you know, just this, you can tell a tree by its fruit. The fact that Trump appointed this moron, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, and you know what? This is another thing that appeals to the hoteps. Because when you talk about, vaccines and all this other stuff like that, and I understand, I get it. Me as a Black person, I'm naturally resistant to a lot of vaccines. I wouldn't take a flu shot. You know what I'm saying? My philosophy is I just stay away from people that are sick. You know what I'm saying? I get it. But you got to understand the difference between the flu shot and friggin' measles, or more importantly, shingles. Dude, I got shingles and that shit damn near killed me. I mean, I'm just saying that, you know, I don't wish that on anybody. Anybody who is what's the term? Able to qualifies for a shingle shot. I'm just telling you right now, get that. It felt like my organs were shutting down and that I was going to die. I could not move without being in intense pain. I couldn't even drive without being in intense pain. Any movement of my body was intense pain. I don't wish that on anybody. So I'm just telling you, some vaccines are fully vetted. We know that they work. They save many lives. Throw away this conspiracy nonsense. I said all I said. Let me pass the mic. Afro-Knox, what you got to say about RFK Jr.?
Science is important. Science is important. You know, RFK and like say people like quote unquote Dr. Sebi, you can or your boy Rizzo Islam now with the intellectual power. All these things trace back to the same unscientific ideas, the same sources. I mean, it's just this dude doesn't believe in germ theory. He's anti-germ theory. So like infectious diseases are not caused by, you know, like in their world, pathogens, predators, parasites, these things, they don't understand these things in the context of ecology. They trace things back to some glorious religious beginnings. And this is very problematic in terms of how they think. And it leads to situations like this, man. And, you know, it's so funny, the Republicans, you know, when they had the Senate had to confirm him when he became the director, they all unanimously confirmed him. But now it's like, oh, he's anti-vaccine. Fool, you knew before he got in there he was anti-vaccine. So, man, it's like, but yeah.
So you talk about Trump killing people out in the middle, out in front of everybody. That's what he's doing with RFK Jr. and his policies that he's gonna put in place.
I mean, doesn't it make sense just to have somebody with some type of medical background to have this position? I mean, why would you throw somebody like RFK Jr., somebody that talks like sounds like he's trying to clear his throat every time he's saying any
you don't have to be
words.
In area of background in science to be director, because and that's the problem. He's inserting his non-medical knowledge, experience, or background into the policies. You're not supposed to do that as the director. You're just listening to the experts, directing the funding and the resources. You know what I'm saying? You're coordinating, trying to see where there's overlap or redundancy in the Department of Health. That's all you're doing. You're not supposed to be inserting your ideas about medicine when you have no background, and those ideas run counter to the consensus of the experts.
Well, like you just said, with no background, that's why they should have somebody with some type of medical type of background to actually be even considered for this position.
I agree. If you're being in that position, you don't got to be a doctor. You should definitely have some legit. You know what I'm saying? I understand you can hire somebody to oversee anything, but it's better to hire someone who has some type of expertise in the field that they're overseeing. You know what I'm saying?
With Trump, you only need one qualification. Will you say yes to what I ask? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So when you talk about DEI, this is what's worse than DEI. You know what I'm saying? So you guys making all this argument complain. This is not meritocracy. This is basically, nepotism and loyalty. And now Florida, Florida, they're talking about taking away all vaccines. All vaccine mandates. Man. I mean, the kids are going to suffer from this stuff. I mean, we had these things, the plagues and all this other stuff that we actually evolved beyond because of the vaccines, because of the mandatory vaccine, the vaccine mandates. So I'm just saying that, these conspiracy people, it's the danger of YouTube. It's a curse. It's a blessing and a curse.
Well, for the followers, it's blind allegiance. And for the people that's in the administration, it's just selling out.
Yeah. So, and then
the only thing worse than the races is an incompetent racist.
You know what? I felt some type of way about JD Vance until I saw his first debate, and then I felt like, whew, he might be an evil person, but at least he's actually intelligent. Like, at least he's, what I'm saying? The thought of someone who just whose feet couldn't touch the ground, being in control of power, that's like a whole lot scary. You know what I'm saying? So there's levels to this ish, and what you said is 100% correct, because that's super dangerous. I mean, that's why you need to understand the world is not flat, bro. You know what I'm saying? The planets don't circulate around Earth. It's not a heliocentric model. This is, what I'm saying, or this is not an Earth-centric model. You know what I'm saying? But still. Let's talk about this other thing. Okay, so now the DOJ is flirting with banning trans community from guns, and that's because this recent shooting that they had, this person identified as transgender. You're telling me that these people always, every time there's a shootout, they basically just say, people should have more guns. That's basically a retort. They're never talking about restricting people's access to guns or anything like that. They're very rah-rah to the contrary. And now all of a sudden you got one transgender person, maybe the second transgender that I know of, accused of doing this type of stuff. And you got many, many, many white males that are out here doing it. You're not trying to take away guns from white males, but you're trying to take away guns from transgenders. This seems absolutely crazy to me. What you got to say about this, brother Afro-agnostic?
Yeah, and they're trying to, just think about, just put it in reverse. If the majority of mass shooters, 99.9%, were transgender people, they would definitely say, something about transgender people. Like what foods are they eating? What ideas? What's propelling this group to do that? But when it's obviously men, and this is not the blame thing because I'm a man too, but on the model of what it means to be a man, I think that's problematic. They will not look at that. They like blind to it. Like student, no, there's nothing wrong with that. They're trying to find something else. They're depressed. They're crazy. They're mentally ill. There's too much guns. It's like anything but the obvious elephant in the room. But we know they're anti-trans. So this is just another opportunity to delegitimize trans people, to attack their rights, to, they want to eradicate them. They want them to get back in the closet and be invisible. And this is just another way of taking away their rights. Just an opportunity, a grab.
And their great white hero, he was super trans. The head of the FBI.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He was, yep. That's right.
You got to say about this, El Poo.
It's funny how he took away the security of people like John Bolton and Kamala Harris, or Kamala, whatever her name is, Harris.
Mhm.
And then he wants to take away people's ability to defend themselves. That's crazy, huh?
Honestly, you do a job like the president's, you know, you're gonna have enemies for life. They're not just gonna be like, oh, 4 years, he stepped down, and you basically did a war that killed somebody's mother, father, sister. They got basically a contract on you for life. So
But
you take on this job for the
what's
government.
what's most important, you gotta understand this though. This man, you're talking about Bolton right there, right?
I'm saying why? I'm talking about anybody, a president or a vice president.
Let's
They should
speak
have,
on Bolton
they
in
should have,
general.
they
Let's
should
speak
have
on Bolton in
security for
general.
life.
But Bolton did this on behalf of you, dumbass, the president.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And you gonna
So
take
your
away his
guy.
security detail? That's some cold shit. This man has no loyalty to nobody.
What do you call those people that go after their political enemies? Like they selectively put armed troops in states where their enemies, their political enemies are. And they, what do you call? Autocrats.
Yeah,
Like,
duh.
I forgot.
Yeah. I mean,
Today we call him Trump.
Trumps.
Yeah, so you know, yeah, Trumps.
MAGAs.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing about it. This is the guy that complains and cries because Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, he should get a Nobel Peace Prize. But as you brought up, infamous El Poo, he went and renamed the Pentagon the Department of War. This is a guy that we weren't in war. We had nothing going on with Iraq, and he went and bombed them. He bombed Iraq because of basically Israel. You know what I'm saying? So he's bragging about how he brought an end to the 8-day war.
You mean Iran?
Iran. Sorry, but the 8-day war was a war that Israel launched against Iran. And once he dropped the bomb and basically did the thing that Israel couldn't, and Israel stopped, Iran had no reason to continue fighting. Basically, they were defending themselves. You're not stopping the war as much as basically you're just finishing it off for your buddy, for your pals, you know, Netanyahu. So, you know, and I mean, you know, this is the peace. You know what I'm saying? So
okay, but what's going on in the Caribbean right now? They're supposedly shooting down the speedboat. There's a vote with drugs and everything with 11 people on it. Supposedly, it might be some AI stuff because they did show it. I mean, come on now. And Argentina ain't really spoke too much about it because they probably ain't lost nobody. This is probably some made up stuff. But what does our Argentina have that we might want? It's not Argentina, excuse me, Venezuela. It's Venezuela. Venezuela. What does Venezuela have that we might want? Can anybody tell me?
Damn, they got the largest reservoir of oil, right?
Yes, in any other country in the world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's a good reason to do. Hey, listen, we've been talking about drugs and everything. They've been talking about drugs. He was blaming Canada for bringing fentanyl over here and stuff like that. All of a sudden, now it's Venezuela. Okay, you know, because somebody just told him about the reserves that they have in that oil over there. So since he found that out, it's like, oh yeah, time to invade Venezuela.
Now, I like, this is one thing about MAGA that I like, changing the name of the War Department from, because I always call it the War, you know, AKA War Department, changing it back to its original name. I mean, the Department of Defense, changing it back to the Department of War, because I think to me it, you know, what's that story? It takes the clothes off the emperor, or it exposes the emperor. But at the same time, I don't like the movement and the idea behind it that's fuming it. But folks out there should know that once upon a time, up until World War II, Europeans were very proud to be imperialists. I mean, you know, it garnered a bad name and reputation later after World War II, leading up to World War II. But before, people was proud. That was like you wore it as a badge. My country controls your country. My country controls 50 other countries. That was something to brag about. And during that time, it was called the Army. They integrated the armed forces and called the Department of War because they were actively engaging in war. This is in the 1790s with the Native Americans. So as El Poo alluded to, the United States was what, 1/15, 20th the size that it is now. It was just, you know, they hadn't even conquered the Ohio territory. So they were actively putting together armed forces to take Indian land. It was explicit. It was out in the open. This is the Department of War. What do? We organize war. You know what I'm saying? But until World War II, you know, it started to become unpopular. So they changed the name to Department of Defense to make it look like, you know, we got the biggest military in the world just to defend our freedom, you know, stuff like that. But we know what it is.
Yep. So that having been said, I feel that we've fully addressed most of the stuff that we need to address. Anything you feel you want to say in closing, infamous El Poo?
Well, yeah. Well, I'm glad that we made it through this episode today with just the three of us. Guess I had to step it up a little bit more. But yeah, so no, I just want to say, make sure y'all hit that like, subscribe, and share bell. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all being here. In fact, let me put that up there. And we want y'all to come back next week and check us out, and check out the Spin That Back Extra show we're about to have too. We're gonna be talking about George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic, P-Funk All-Stars, and all that.
I want to break a little myth. The myth of old grandmas are the only people that be on the phone gossiping, because, you know, Young Thug gossips too.
Ouch. There's proof. So that being said, like, share, subscribe. Thanks out. Peace out.
Peace.